Jagger 6, Y4, we're talking fire from inside the window, over.
Alright, hold on.
Hey, Viper, can you see that building? Are you sure you can identify where those actors are looking?
Got it. Yep.
Got it. Roger, we're going to be inbound here with 30 Mike.
Market and Lamar. Assist officer, shots fired. Okay, code 3, Delta radio, officer down.
Welcome to Up Armored, the podcast dedicated to military and law enforcement professionals. I'm Kurt Delia, your host. Welcome to Up Armored Podcast. We have a special guest tonight. Marty Parsons is with us, a former law enforcement officer and now a private contractor. Welcome to the show, Marty.
Thanks for having me, Kurt.
I'm happy that I've finally been able to get you. I know you're a busy man.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we're doing this.
Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your background?
All right, I was in law enforcement for the local sheriff's department here in North Carolina for 16 years, and I did multiple things. I ran a unit, SRT unit for a long time. Was a part of it for right at 15 years. I was commander of a gang unit, which I loved. It was the best thing in the world, running that unit for 10 years with my partner. And I ended up at the end of it, I left out as a sergeant over training in the academy, and before I decided to leave law enforcement and pursue other things in the civilian world. So did a lot of training overseas, did a lot of training throughout the correctional community. That's where my whole background's in corrections. So, so I worked with NSA, developed some training programs for gang units within corrections and how to gain intelligence and what to look for, stuff like that. So
right.
That was my main gig.
Right. Now you've been, you're down in North Carolina right now, right? And that's pretty much
right.
where you're born and raised and did most of your career, right? Yep.
Yeah, I did. I did 2 years with Surrey County after I left Forsyth as a reservist, just to keep my status and everything. And then I finally just let it go because I was just too busy, overseas traveling and doing all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, you've put some miles on. You've got to have a gold card for travel. Right.
Yeah, I did it one time. Yeah, I've cut back, but yeah, I did it one time. I had the diamond, so yeah, mm-hmm. I was traveling. I can remember one time taking my wife to Las Vegas, and it cost us $49 for the whole week.
Wow.
That's how many miles I had.
Wow. Well,
so yeah, it was crazy.
I met you at the mock prison riot, I think back in 2008, maybe? I can't remember. I thought it was mid to late 2000, but that's where I met you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2008, 2007, around in there. Yeah, you were banging doors outside the little area there when we started talking.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, we brought we brought that big fire rescue truck I used for training. And
yeah.
Cindy Baroni took care of us.
Yep.
She was a sweetheart.
She was
took
awesome.
care of us out there.
Still talk to her.
Yep. And
yep.
That was a good event. Does that even take place anymore?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. I didn't miss that for about 15 years in a row, and then, just traveling and everything, I've missed it. But yeah, it's still going on. I think they had about 1,200 people there last year. So yeah, it's still going strong.
All right. Well, we've got to get back down there together. I got to get down there.
Yes, we do. Yeah, I want to go back this year. I haven't been in like 2 years, so I'd like to go. It's not to sell stuff either. You know what I'm saying? It's just to be around all the operators and stuff.
That's right.
I think that's the coolest thing. It's all for the operators. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right.
It was free for the first 15, 16 years. no, it didn't cost anybody to come up there. And then they said I had to start charging.
Right.
I guess, because of they lost some funding. So,
well,
but it's still strong.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it, and I can tell people. Is it still at in Moundsville? Is it still the same location?
That's it. Yeah,
that
still
is
there.
Probably one of the
Crazy.
most creepiest ass places I've ever been to in my life.
Yep, it is wicked crazy. I'd like to stay in there one night. I think me and my brother had talked about just going up there because you can do a overnight tour there, and it would be pretty freaky to do that. But I think it closed. It didn't. I mean, Charles Manson was there, so.
Yeah, I know the history. They had a lot of guards that were killed and a lot of riots, and it's a weird place. I'll tell you a little story real quick. Me and my buddy, matter of fact, he was on the last podcast I did, episode 3, I believe, or episode 4. I can't remember, but my buddy Eric, who was in the former Army, Green Beret, he was with me, and when we went down there, we brought a training team down, and he happened to have some time, so he came over and met with us and hung out with us for a few days during the training. But me and him were up in the lobby of this place, and we were looking at some of the memorabilia. You know, they've got the electric chair up there and all that stuff, and we were reading some articles about how the prisoners had taken some guards hostage, and then they boiled some of them alive in a big vat in the kitchen, and just some bad stuff. But it was just me and him. We were in this little museum area, the prison right by the electric chair. And I was reading a plaque on the wall, and you know me, Marty, I'm not going to make this stuff up. This is crazy. One
man I know doesn't lie.
You might not call me after this again, but anyway, I was reading this plaque, and I stepped back because I was going to step back and do an about face and turn around and walk to the other side of the room where Eric was. And as I took a short step backward, I bumped into somebody, and it was distinct. I mean, it was like I bumped into a wall, and I said, "Oh, excuse me," and I turned around to apologize, and there was nobody there. And Eric was on the other side of the room looking at me like, you know, did you have a drink or what, did you drink some bourbon earlier? What's the problem? You know, so I don't know what happened, but I bumped into something, and when I turned around, it wasn't there. So, but then when we left there, I kept hearing all these stories. Oh man, that place is so haunted, you wouldn't believe it. And then I put 2 and 2 together, and I thought, man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're in there. The ghosts are there.
Yeah. So Marty, you played some college baseball, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I played a couple years for Montreat Anderson College. I was a pitcher there, and a third baseman, then a first baseman. But no, I didn't go to school for education. I went to school to play baseball.
Yeah.
So, once I blew my shoulder out against that, the only game my father came to see me play in college, I blew my shoulder out in the third inning. So, I was like, you can't. But no, so I healed from that, and I loved it. I loved playing baseball. But different time of life.
Well, I could imagine you were a good ball player because you're so damn big. People know Marty, or even if people that don't know you, I mean, you're a big old boy, you know.
Yeah, so, I'm country.
Yeah.
It was always beans and potatoes at my house, man.
Well.
So yeah.
I know you played some college ball. I played a little college football, and I wasn't good enough to go anywhere. I mean, I was able to play a little bit in college and at a junior college level, but I wasn't good enough. I knew I had to eventually get a real job and do something. So
yeah, me too. I had, you know what? Listen, I went to all the classes. I went to baseball math, baseball English, baseball science, just to play. I remember it's kind of going off into a rabbit hole, but I remember taking my science biology class and had to take the final exam, but I hadn't needed that class to play for the spring, you know. And so the professor called me down, and he goes, "Hey," he said, "I don't think I've ever seen this before." And I said, "Yeah, well, I mean, did I pass or what?" 4 questions on the test. Missed them all. Missed every one of them. Failed it. And he said, he said, I'm gonna give you another shot at taking this so you can play baseball. And I said, I appreciate it. And it's a really, really Christian school, man. So, so anyway, so he let me answer a couple questions out loud, and he passed me, so I could get to play. So
right.
I actually ended up playing. Yeah. So little unfair, but got to play.
Sure.
And we were good too. So it was a draft school. We went there to get drafted.
Right.
And
right.
But yeah. So unfortunately, you know what? I couldn't play anymore. So it was time for me to come home and start working. So that's I remember starting with the sheriff's department back in 1993, end of '93, and started off making $14,700 and some odd dollars. I remember my dad going, "You better keep that job. That's a good job." I was like, "What? 14 grand?" Yeah.
Yeah.
But but that's back in the day.
That's right. Yeah, my first. Let's see here. Several years of working part time in the early '90s, trying to find a job as a law enforcement or as a police officer, and it was hard. I mean, if you're not in the right place at the right time or know the right people, and at the time there wasn't a lot of jobs available, so you really had to fight for them. But one small town that I worked for, it was actually a village. I made $6.75 an hour.
Oh, goodness gracious!
And I drove an hour each way through these cold Michigan winter snowstorms to make $6.75 an hour, and I was happy.
Yeah. I love my job. I love being a lot of people go, "Man, I wouldn't work in a jail. I'm not a jailer." Well, I never consider myself a jailer. I always consider myself, a detention officer, a correctional officer, because, I mean, you know what? The guys, I could go down a huge rabbit hole about corrections because, I love it so much. I love it so much. It's my, it was always my passion.
Absolutely.
And the people I worked with and worked under me and I worked for, my old SRT commander, I think I told you this last week, my SRT commander, he just passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He got killed up in Ohio, and it was a long week, man. Just reminiscing about all the times that we, with all the training, and he was my FTO too. So I remember the second day I was there, he's like, "You ever been on an elevator ride?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, everybody rides an elevator, right?"
Right.
And we had a drunk coming through, intake, just belligerent, just a piece of crap, just drunk all over. We get in that elevator, he grabs him, we take him straight up. We don't ask his name, nothing. He just grabs him. And we start walking. Second day on the job, right? Never knew anything about it. And we get on the elevator, and there's this like little lip because it was an old jail at the time. And that dude tripped going into the elevator, and he took that dude's head and put it through the back of that elevator. And I swear to God, I think you could go to a junkyard and still see that dude's face imprinted on the back of that thing. Jesus. Wow. I was like, holy crap. Because you know what? Listen, go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny that coming from the road patrol division or from the other side of the house in law enforcement, we would deal with people at their worst, of course, and then.
Sure.
But as soon as we were able to apprehend them and bring them to the facility or to the jail, we, for the most part, other than court and some further follow-up investigation, we were done with them. And so, we kind of handed them off, and the you don't really appreciate, at least when I was a young police officer, I really didn't have a full appreciation for what correctional officers did. And then I remember my dad telling me a story about he was reading a book about the sheriffs in the Old West and how they did everything. They apprehended people, they housed people waiting for court for trial. They were jailers, and they did everything. It wasn't separate like it is now.
No.
So, but
yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, you know what? But you know, just like you do, once you dedicate yourself to a profession or you know any kind of job skill, doesn't matter what it is. You know, you go full board just like I do, and you want to learn every aspect of that job, and you know the thing I think the biggest thing is when you go, everybody goes, oh, I want to be the police, right? That's out of Southside, you know, police. I want to be a policeman.
Mm-hmm.
And they never say they want to be a jailer. Nobody grows up going, you know, there's no jail doll at Walmart. You know,
right.
you don't go into Walmart looking for a jailer doll, right? You see a police officer, right? Right. So
I got you.
So how do you make that job more than the job? How do you make it a career? Well, you learn everything about it, right? So and then you know, when you bring younger guys in, when the new cats come in, you got them, and that's the only way to do it in there, because you know you don't have any, you know, now you got more fancy weapons, obviously, because you know, and we'll talk about less lethal in a little bit, but you know, you're getting dudes that worked at Circle K and 7-Eleven looking for a job, right?
Right.
And they're coming in here to a correctional facility, and the next day they're working with somebody that killed somebody,
right.
or they raped somebody, or they sold, you know, so those guys, the street smart the inmates have.
That's right. Yeah.
Outnumbers the guy coming from 7-Eleven by a long shot.
And thank God, you know, the training now is, you know, light years ahead of where it used to be even 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's, the training, the academies that for the detention officers and corrections officers is much better. And like you said earlier, the technology is there, the new less lethal application, because when you're working in a jail or a prison, regardless, you're outnumbered every day, every shift, everything you do. Yeah, you're outnumbered.
60 to 1, 100 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people just don't understand or appreciate that. You know, when we take our, and I'm not saying everybody that goes to jail or prison is a bad person, because there's some people that are imprisoned under questionable circumstances. But
I met many of them. Talked to many of them.
You're talking about every day that you go to work, you are surrounded by less than desirable individuals.
Yeah, I mean, you walk into a world that's negative. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
What's positive about it? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, just the whole world of corrections. I read a lot of stuff on Facebook. There's a couple things, Correctional Brotherhood and stuff like that. And I see some of these guys, and a lot of them have a lot of compassion for. You don't have to have compassion for inmates. You just gotta treat everybody with just a little bit of respect, irregardless. You don't know what these guys are going through. So
just be human.
You know,
everybody's got their own story, right?
Yeah, I'm not, you know, by far, you know my stance on a lot of stuff, but but you gotta, you know, listen, you're taking a dude off the street because he committed some crime, or lady, and you're bringing him into a facility. You're asking some questions, then you get done with them, then you hand them off to me, and then I got to start asking a bunch of questions. Well, the dude or the lady's thinking about, where's my kids at? You know, I got a house payment due. I got all these, because sometimes rage, you just don't know what's going through their head. So they're, a lot of them obviously they're going to be mad coming to jail. Nobody's happy. It's not like anybody's excited to come walking into jail. That's right. So, you got to teach these people how to communicate. And obviously that's your biggest weapon in corrections is how you actually, it's my old lieutenant used to say, listen, as long as they're doing what you say and walking where you want them to walk, listen to them. So when the door shuts, you got, you did everything you had to. And that's how I always did it. That's why I like working with a gang so much, So, and the SRT stuff, it was just, it was a great world that I lived in. I worked maximum security the whole time, just about, when I was on the floor, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Well,
and we had a lot of good times.
Yeah, it's most certainly its own career now. I mean, it's so specialized with the less lethal and civil disturbance application, the hands-on application. It's different than working solo out on a road patrol or whatever. It's a different dynamic. It's its own specialty now, which I'm glad.
Sure.
I'm glad that
I
it
am too.
is.
I'm really happy that they've made it more of a profession than, just a job.
Right.
And they're spending money. Used to not. All of our tactics, all our SRT tactics came from SWAT, obviously, right? Because we didn't have any tactics. So when me and the Bucket and a couple other guys, we all got together one day. Golly, it was a long time ago, 2003, 4.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, hey, we're going to make a certified training for, correctional jail CERT teams.
Mm-hmm.
And we did. We wrote it all up. We did a 5-day. We did a 10-day training. Got it certified through the state of North Carolina. It was the only one at the time that we knew of, especially in the Southeast. And people came from all over. We trained over 300 some odd people in a matter of 2 years because they didn't have training and it was free.
Right.
And we were proud of that. And so I'm proud of it to this day, and we trained a lot of people. We mentored a lot of people and they took it back to their people. And obviously that's what it's meant to do. But, it was just 4 dudes sitting in a room and drawing up lesson plans and tactics and how do we take some stuff from SWAT to to bring it into, because you got to remember corrections is a city within a city, right? You got a city on the outside that you guys patrol, and we patrol inside of this city, and that's how I always looked at it.
Right.
So
right.
Well,
that's
but we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's certainly something to be proud of, brother. I mean, quality training, and affordable training is, that's gold in law enforcement community. So not a day that I worked in corrections I was not a proud person. Because my dad said be proud of every job that you have, and I was definitely proud of that job. But again, and you just like you say, we were talking the other day about writing books out on the street and in corrections. I mean, you know how many people could write a book on the stories that they could tell? Oh yeah, that's for sure.
It's ridiculous.
I remember back in the day, I worked for a sheriff's office too, like you did, but I was out on the road patrol, and every once in a while we would get a call from our dispatch that there was a situation at the jail facility, so we'd have to. All the road patrol would drive into the jail. We would come in from all corners of the county. And up here in Michigan, where I am, it's a big county. It's about 860 square miles of patrol area. So you may have 2 or 3 deputies covering all that. And we would respond back to the jail facility and meet with the shift supervisor and the jail commander. And they tell us, we've got 2 or 3 prisoners in a 8-man cell that are, have already assaulted several other people, and there's a disturbance in there, and we're going to go in and clear that cell. And they just didn't have enough personnel in the facility from the correction staff, so they would combine us all together, and we'd make this big. I say big. I mean, we might have 8 people. It might be one-on-one. I mean, eight officers to 8 inmates when we go in that cell, but so we'd strip our uniforms down, take anything that could be used against us off, your ink pens and take your badge off and everything. You don't want anybody getting stabbed with an ink pen. So we'd go in and clear that cell, and we didn't have any tools. We just went in and just had to manhandle people, and maybe a little gas, or real limited gas even back then, because of the airborne issue with the air handling units. But
contamination.
It's it's a different world, man. All my respect to you, brother, and anybody out there who's worked corrections or working corrections right now. I'll give you a right hand salute. I'm telling you, it's a selfless career path, and I most certainly appreciate, as well as other officers that are road patrol function officers, most certainly appreciate what you do. So
it was a good time. But so I worked in a mega jail, which is 1,000 beds or more. So our team, we had a 50-man unit at one time. We had 16 female. Me and the other commander, Eden and Crawley, we wanted an all-female unit. So at one point we had 16 females, And I tell you, they could kick the dudes' asses. I'm telling you. I mean, the SRT guys, they would go after those dudes during training. So, but yeah, you know what? It was a good part of my life. So, but
well, I'm glad you're involved in it, because I wouldn't have met you. I mean, we wouldn't have
No,
met,
no, sir.
Our paths wouldn't have crossed at mock prison riot, and
right.
you know, I consider you a good friend, one of my best friends
Yes,
now, and you're a great man, and you know. So tell me, Marty, worst day of your life at work. You got something? You got a story? I mean, I know
worst day. I think. Yeah. No, I've got. Everybody's got a story. I think one of the worst days. I think. I don't know. I think it's the day I decided to leave.
Oh.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can talk about, you know, I mean, I've seen hangings. I've seen two dudes in the shower.
No,
right?
No. I don't even. We don't need to hear about
that. No. But I think it was the day I decided that it was time for me to leave. I think it was, but because, you know, it's I was, you know, you obviously get scared when you're going to transition, you know.
Sure.
But
sure.
you know, but if I didn't have a wife, couldn't have done any of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
right.
And that's a lot of people to understand that our wives really, really carry the load, man. Especially with stress and everything.
They do.
I've been stressed every day. You know what I'm saying? But now if funny stories. I can tell you one of those. I think the last day, like I said, when I left, man, I cried. I was like a little bitch. I cried and cried, but I knew it was the right thing, right? So, but inside of a jail, you know, you like, golly, man, there's so many, you know, funny people. I helped. My background is in mental health, so I helped build a mental health unit. I developed it with some of the doctors and stuff when I was there, and there was a person refusing to lock down, so he was out by himself, and she was throwing stuff. I mean, there was food everywhere, there's trays everywhere, the TV was broke, everything was crazy. So I was like, I'll go in there and walk in, and I walked in there, and I kind of got kind of close to her. I was a good 3 feet away probably. She probably weighed about, I don't know, 92 pounds maybe. She's a big crackhead. And I said, you know, ma'am, I said, you know, you need to lock down. She was like, I ain't locking down. Jesus is coming to get me. Blah. She was in that state, that bipolar state. And she said, you believe in God? And I said, yes, ma'am, I sure do. And she spit right in my face.
No.
Oh, yeah. And she goes, there's some holy water for you, you know, MFer. And before I can even, and you know what you want to do at that point.
Yes, sir.
Right? You just want to just throw them up against the wall and go, you know what? Today's the day. You get your ass kicked. But before I could even wipe my eyes out, I should have been wearing glasses, obviously, right? Biohazard, but I wasn't. And spit right in my face. She had jumped on the back of me like a damn spider monkey and started ripping my clothes off. And dude, it was all I could do is to grab that little girl. And I finally rammed her up against the back of the wall, and she wouldn't come off, man. I'll tell you, man, it took 3 dudes to get her down. She wore us out. It's amazing how strong. Yeah, it's amazing. But it was the funniest thing, you know. The she's in there, you know, and I had one locked up one time, and he was raising all kinds of cane, and you know, he was in segregation. I kept calling him and her, and he was like, I'm a dude, and I was like, I'm sorry, man, because he was all had rollers and everything in his head,
right?
And so you just don't, you don't.
How do you know? I mean, you don't know.
Yeah. You don't know. I mean, you know, obviously, but you know, I mean, I don't know. There's so many good little stories and little you know, the camaraderie that you gain in there. You know, when you know, if you're, it's funny because you know, when you're suiting up, and I know this will relate to a lot of guys that are suit up and when they have to go in and get somebody. But it's funny when you suit up and everybody's getting all jacked and they're like, oh, okay, here we go. And you do this like, sometimes you do it 2-3 times a day.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And then sometimes you're going in there trying to break up a fight of 5-6 people. But anyway, and as an SRT commander, you go over there and you start talking to them while everybody's getting suited up and trying to get them to calm down and cuff up and stuff. And they're ready for you, man. They're like, "Why don't you just come here by yourself?" And I'm like, "Man, see, that's the game we don't play in here." You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be in our favor,
right.
And I always told them, I said, "Listen, unless you got a lot of quarters in your pocket, you're gonna lose this game, man.
Oh yeah.
This game, you don't have enough quarters to play this game, because if these 5 don't do it, the next 5 are gonna do it." So it was always funny but a lot of times they'd cuff up after you talk to them. And,
Right.
if you sang a little Kenny Rogers to them,
Well,
talking to them.
yeah, there, especially in a facility like that, in a secured facility, corrections officers they've got a big bag of tricks that people aren't aware
Yes, sir.
of. I mean,
you
have a lot of different options, and especially now with all the new technology, the less lethal technology that's out there, where years ago
Right.
it was just, maybe you go hands on.
You just go in there. Yeah, that's all you did. Well, and they still go hands on.
Sure.
That's the craziest thing about it, is they go hands on when they have all these tools, because unfortunately, I always fought with this, because I brought pepperball into our facility,
Right.
because of my prison right, and and then eventually worked for them. But it's amazing to me that in today's times you got all this stuff, and then the supervisor goes, "Go in there and get him," and you're like, "Well, why do I have to go in there and put 3-4 guys in harm's way to fight with this guy, right?"
Mm-hmm.
When I could spray OC in there, I could hit them with a less lethal launcher, pepperball type
Right.
system, or anything like that. I don't say taser because nothing is taser because I carried one. But when you're in a cell, right, and there's nothing but steel and concrete, you hit that dude with the taser. There's only 2 things that dude's going to hit.
That's right.
It's going to be the side of the bump. Yeah. So for me to have a lawsuit on my hands because of that,
Well,
I never thought about it.
Yeah,
So,
you end up with there's always that risk when you go hands on.
yeah.
You either injury to your officer or to the individual you're trying to apprehend, and then you end up not only with an injury, but then you end up with litigation and everything that goes with that, with that deal. So
so there's a time and place for every kind of weapon, obviously, but I don't know. It's a good thing. They should use it more, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's scared of getting sued these days, because you can't. I mean, you can't do anything anymore. Not that you want to harm anybody. All you want to do is control and restrain, right?
That's right.
And that's all you want to do, is because this dude's obviously you're going to take all the your mama's a whore and all that kind of crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I banged your wife last night, all that crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I can take that. I don't care about that. It's when you start throwing your own poop and you're spitting at me and stuff. That's when I got a problem with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can stay behind it. As long as that dude's locked behind that door, where's he going?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is he banging on it? Yep. Is he flooded his cell? Sure. You're not going to clean up. You're going to get inmate workers just suck all that
a
water
boring
up.
day, a nice slow boring day is a good day in law enforcement.
It is. I agree.
I mean,
100%.
That means that either everything is smooth, running smooth and quiet, or maybe you're just not seeing what's going on, but
or choose not to.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
There's a couple of those dudes out there too.
Yeah, we've all worked with those people too. So
Sure.
but
Yeah.
there's different. Of course, there's different law enforcement egos. You've got different applicants. You have the protectors, and then you have the enforcers, and you have people who are extremely proactive, want to run traffic all day long and write tickets. And officers that are just content after 15, 20 years, and just if no one's breaking the law, everything is
just
smooth
cruising.
and good.
Yeah.
So
Some days, you know what though? Some days I wish I would have been like that, but I'm just too, I've got that A personality where I just can't.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you that it's funny, man, when you got, 400 some odd employees, and I was over the range, like all the correctional range stuff, all the academy stuff, all the OSHA stuff, SRT, the gang, all the stuff that, all the training, in-service training. And when the day I left, Kurt, swear to God, I left at 11:45. I remember this, 11:45 on a Wednesday. It was my last day, and 30 minutes. Everybody's like, what are they going to do, man? How are they going to replace you, boss? Man, everybody gets replaced, right? Doesn't matter who you are.
That's
right. Because everything keeps going.
That's right.
And you know that the after I left, there was a memo that came out, and there were 6 people took my job. They separated my job into 6 people. And I think that's, like when I said the worst day of my life was when I left, I think it's because I think I was almost relieved. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
because
that's a lot.
I mean,
you had a lot on your plate.
It's a lot, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and it affects your home life, right?
Sure.
And I think after looking at that, but then when I started my new job, I started one of my best friends, Pete Edmonds. He works for 511 now, but he had his own cop shop. It's called Eagle One, with another buddy of mine, Kevin. And they said, "Why don't you come work for us?" And that's where I started getting the bug of going, man, I could sell this stuff. I could sell law enforcement stuff, right?
Right.
I talk to people all the time. And about a week after I left, I was driving down the road going to Roundaman, where Richard Petty's from, and I totally freaked out, man. I was like, "Holy, what did I just do?" I panicked. I stopped on the side of the road. I was like, "Oh my God!" And I said, "Wait a minute, I don't know how to do this." After about 30 minutes, I had to get a dip and a Gatorade, and I was like, "Man, I think I can do this," and I did it. I learned how I learned a new part of helping law enforcement, even though I was selling, right?
Right.
But so I worked there for about a year to learn how to get my bearings on how this stuff works. And then, I had my little company called Riot Ready that you and I had experienced, trying to do some stuff with. So I worked with a company called Tiberius on less lethal launchers and stuff like that. Well, they'd purchased Pepperball. And Eric Bratton, a good friend of mine, he called me up and said, "Hey, look, do you want to come work with us?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to work for Pepperball." I was one of their master trainers and did all that, good stuff with those guys before. And he said, "Can you fly up here?" And I said, "Yeah." And I flew up there, and I worked corrections for about 3 months, and we found out some things about the guy was doing some international stuff, and I said, "Dude, I think I can do that." And so I started doing it, and I did international for Pepperball. I did the training and the sales and stuff for Pepperball for good 5 years before before I left.
I remember, send you a text message, and you send me a picture back of you out in the desert on a camel or something.
Yeah, playing golf in Egypt.
Everywhere. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you. What's so funny about that is how many people get to play golf in Egypt, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy to say, but how many? I've seen some stuff, man. I've seen the pyramids. My fat ass on a on a camel, I don't know. It's funny, man. You go to all these different countries, and I've been to a lot of them, and you when you go on vacation, you'll see any of the bad stuff. Mm-hmm. But all we did was see bad stuff.
Right. Right.
And
what you were doing, what you were training and teaching and selling. Sure. Was civil unrest,
civil disorder,
mitigation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
right,
absolutely.
Yeah. So we trained a lot of people. I had amazing instructors. Are good friends to this day. Some of my instructors are, and we saw the worst. We saw the poor people living in the aluminum huts with the ground, the dirt floor and all that stuff. We saw all that, and eating whatever. I mean, I was out in the jungle in Panama with a great client of mine. We were training their military, their police out in the jungle, and you're sitting there on a rock eating some rice and just ungodly, whatever it was. I don't know what kind of meat it was. And then you got this big old iguana just coming underneath your feet going, hey, bro, can I have that fish or whatever the hell is that meat? You know, and the monkeys flying around in the trees and stuff. And, oh, man, just some of the coolest stuff.
And you wonder, you're thinking, boy, if my wife could see me now.
Oh, dude. Yeah. It was great, man. I remember, I got one of my best friends, and everybody's got best friends, right? But you know what? There's that old saying about you can write all your best friends on a Chinese fortune cookie paper. Mm-hmm. And that I can name them just like that. You know what I'm saying? I know my 5 guys, right? Sure. And buddy of mine, Bucket, he was has always been there 23 years. I've known this dude, and we were over in Oman training their police over in Oman, and he had to use the bathroom, and he went down to it was 114 degrees outside. We were having to train 30 minutes at a time. I have to come back in, all this stuff. And he goes, man, I got to use the bathroom bad. And I said, yeah, go ahead. I said, it's downstairs. It's outside, He went down there. He came back. He was drenched. I mean, this dude's, 5'9", 5'10", maybe 235. Just a barrel of a guy, right? Mm-hmm. And he came back soaking wet. And he was like, dude, I thought I was going to lose it. He said, because they don't have toilets. So, you had to, shoe in the ground.
That's right.
And he said, I thought my hamstrings were going to snap.
It's a big world out there.
Oh, my God. I was laughing so hard. Oh, Jesus. And then that night we went out to dinner. You can probably cut this out, but we went out to dinner. And so I got the waiter. He had to go use the bathroom again. So I took the waiter into the bathroom. I said, hey, ask that dude what he wants to eat now. And he was like, Mr. Bucket. Mr. Bucket.
Mr.
Bucket. What would you like to eat? And he's like, I'm kind of busy right now. It was so funny, though. But no, you know what? I met some amazing people overseas. Sure. Yeah, just unbelievable. I don't know.
It's a big world, and it makes you really appreciate our country and our freedoms.
It does, yeah. A lot of people just don't understand. Mm-hmm. All these asshats out here that
Yeah.
Any kind of word is a bad word, or everything offends them and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Go to Haiti right quick.
Sure.
See how offended you really truly are.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because those dudes have nothing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I think until you actually experience it firsthand, it's hard for people to, I don't know if they appreciate and understand the true meaning of and the freedoms that we have here. I was in southern Mexico. This would have been, I don't know, it would have been probably 6 years ago. And I was meeting with a special forces commander in a small base down in the jungle. And that's all I'll say about the location. But when we approached, we were in an armored convoy. When we approached the front gate, the lead vehicle that I was in a Suburban. The driver rolled his window down partially because an armored vehicle, the window will
only goes halfway, right?
It'll only come down about halfway. Yeah. So he rolled his window down, and the guard approached the vehicle, and I was sitting in the middle in the rear, and I had a couple other personnel with other agencies with me from the government. And this guy drove the muzzle of his FNFAL right into the driver's compartment of the vehicle. And I thought, holy shit, we're going to die here. This guy's going to kill us. And the guy behind me, who was sitting in the third row seat in the back of this up-armored Suburban, he leaned forward and he said something in Spanish, and he said it really quick. And so I could not quite understand it, but I did understand the word commandant and asshole. And the guard pulled the muzzle of that rifle back out of the vehicle and came to attention and saluted the guy behind me. And the gate opened up, and we went through, and I mean, I damn near shit myself. But when we got on the other side of the gate, I turned to this guy and I said, "You speak English?" And he goes, "Yes, of course I speak English." I said, "What did you tell him?" And he said, "I told him that my father's a retired general, and if the asshole don't get that weapon out of the vehicle, he's going to be cleaning toilets for the rest of his life."
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, it's. I'm telling you, there's a lot of powerful people in this world that that you and I both have seen, and like I said, people don't get it, man. All these guys. I was watching the video last night, and it was just amazing the thought process that some of these people in America actually have as far as what offends them. You know what I'm saying? The freedoms that we have in this country are by far nowhere else in this world. I mean, that's why everybody's trying. And you got people that have a set about the way this country was built, how we've built this country up from there, and it's amazing. And what people and how law enforcement is treated today is probably one of the most despicable things I've ever seen in my life. Not because I was in that world. I don't know if I wasn't even in this world that we live in, you and I live in, I would still think it's despicable because these people just, it's a scary thought to know that when we turn, if Lord lets us live to be an older person, what we're going to be, what kind of world we're going to be living in.
I would agree. I think,
and you and I could go on for this for a long time.
Oh yeah,
we could go down a rabbit hole for a long time on this one.
We could do just a show on the dynamics of I mean, and not to talk politics, but
sure,
the interesting thing is, and as well as I do, and there are bad actors in every profession. There's bad police officers out there, just as there are bad judges and priests and doctors and
totally agree,
so on and so forth. But
I've met them. I've worked with them. You've worked with them.
You bet. You bet we have.
Yeah.
And they are typically they're exposed over a period of time, or they end up paying the price for that.
Sure.
But if people could actually see what takes place on a daily basis in the from the law enforcement side of things and the correction side of things, and they could see the kind of individuals that we actually have in our society, they would be utterly stunned.
Yeah, totally.
They would be utterly stunned. Some of the individuals just that I had dealt with at a county level. Now we house some federal inmates and some state inmates also, and I'm telling you, these are some of the, not all of them, of course. I don't want to generalize, but some of the individuals that I had contact with and had dealt with on occasion were some of the most evil, vicious individuals I'd ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And
now,
when you got to fight, when you have to fight people like that, and you have to confront people like that, sometimes you have to use some animal instinct to deal with them. And I think that's when some people get in trouble, when when you're fighting a monster, of course, you've heard that saying before, you want to be careful you don't turn into a monster.
Sure.
And so
but if listen, that's one thing, going in correction, this is what I tell every correction, and I did when I was a training officer. I told all my people, the one thing you got to understand, there's two things that I learned from Tracy Steed, which was my major. He was my lieutenant at the time, and lieutenant artist was if you're 10 minutes early, you're 15 minutes late, because you always have to be prepared for what we do in law enforcement. So if you're coming in running in late, that could be the day you don't go home that night, right? So always being prepared, always getting yourself mentally prepared for what we had to do on a daily basis for 12. You couldn't come in right at 7 o'clock, go straight in the lineup and go, okay, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? You had to be prepared. And the other thing was, Tracy always told me, he's a Secret Service guy now, but he always told me, he said, you know, always come to work in your civilian clothes, and always leave your duty clothes in the locker. Always walk out as the person you came in as, right? So that I think with the monster thing, what you're talking about, it always helped me out to come in. I always wear shorts wherever, you know that. I wear shorts when it's freaking 30 degrees below zero, whatever. But I always walk in wearing shorts and a sweatshirt, and I'd walk out the same way, because I always tried to leave that, you know. And later in my career, obviously, I couldn't do that because I had too much, you know, I was always on call. But I always tried to do that, and I always tried to tell to new guys coming in, just leave it there if you can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tell your wife and your family some stories.
Right.
Don't tell them everything. You don't have to.
That's right. My wife, she, she said, you know, I've never heard you talk about that story before, you know, and like if I'm having a conversation with an old buddy, or we're having a cocktail and we're just telling stories, and she'll say, you know, afterwards she'll say, well, you never talked about that. And there was a reason that I didn't talk about that. You know, and at some point in my career, I developed a little red switch, and I could turn that switch on and shut it off as needed. And if you don't have an off switch, or at least a dial where you can dial down, it'll kill you. The profession will kill you.
It definitely will kill you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I totally agree, and I think that's why, you know, I think that's why I like building so much stuff now. Is because, you know, trying to build up people and build up, you know, different, you know, planning for things and all that stuff. You know, like what I'm doing now. You know,
if you think about it, Marty, I mean, your whole career, what you did was, you know, you help people, and
sure,
even in a facility, helping people on a daily basis, you literally, it translates into saving lives.
And I don't think that, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I don't think that's what the civilian world understands about being in law enforcement, period. Is we're not out to just get evil. You know what I'm saying? We're not all looking to put everybody in jail or whatever. Right. It's to help the community.
That's right.
And
that's right.
And they don't look at it that at all, man. And over the last, you know, 8 years or so, or a little bit long, it's been that way. Mm-hmm. And they've always looked at us as the evil doers, like we're the what do they call us, you know, ISIS and whatever they want to call us. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter in my eyes. It doesn't matter what they say about us, because we know as law enforcement people that we're doing the will of the people, and we're doing it the best way we can do it. Not everybody, like you said before, has that mindset, but I do, you do, our friends do. And we just want to go home.
That's right.
And see our families and stuff. Right. You know what I'm saying? We want to do a good job for the community.
That's right.
And we want to see our wives or husbands or whoever, partner, whatever it is these days. Mm-hmm. To whoever it is, we want to be able to go home and say you love somebody.
That's
right?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the bottom line, really, truly. And you look at how many officers, and this is the other thing. I was one of the board members for the Gang Association here in North Carolina. We have a big support group with the NCGIA, and I always did the fallen officer video during the conference until I got out. And every year, man, you know, you think about it and you go, you know, one year it was 4, it was 6, 12. You see it creeping as 39, 40 now, not even counting the suicides, right?
Sure.
This year. So you're probably up in the 50, 60s range right now. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's 39 officially, or it's 40 right in there right now. It's absolutely, it's stupid. It's crazy.
Yeah, we've had actually this last year we've had more officer deaths by suicide than we have in the line of duty. So
right, and we needed. I know that we have associations and stuff for that out there, but how do you combat it? I don't know. You know, my wife, you know, my wife's in mental health, and you know, she has people that come in and tries to help them out, and it's a, you know, she can't even talk to me. You know, she can't tell me what's going on because, you know, patient confidentiality.
Right.
But you know, I mean, I've sent people too. You know, I've sent people. You know, as a supervisor, I've sent people to get help. You know,
Yeah.
And some people, there's some people out there that can't do it, and they shouldn't be in it because you're going to get somebody else hurt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, I was talking with, this was a couple years ago, and I was talking with a friend of mine who I played football with in college, actually, and he retired from the Marine Corps. His name is First Sergeant William Bodette. Been on the History Channel and been on a whole bunch of TV shows and stuff. And I was talking to him because when he joined the Marine Corps, I went to the police academy, and we kind of separated, and we hadn't talked for 15, 16 years, and then the History Channel did a show on him. And anyway, we were having a conversation, and he told me that it seemed to him, I mean, because of all the trauma and everything that our troops, soldiers, Marines, sailors, airmen, you know, coasties go, he said the younger men and women that go to combat seem to have more of a problem with the trauma, whereas the older salty officers, or I'm sorry, salty troops, the senior NCOs and the older guys, they've been able to process. They can process things a little bit better, and we didn't know if it's from, you know, just having experience in life and being a little bit wiser and having seen more stuff. But the younger generation seem to have more of an issue with it, and I don't know if they necessarily have a harder time dealing with it, or if it's just because it's more on the front page now, where it used to not be.
I think you're right. I think that could be it, because I mean, with the 24-hour news cycle and everything, you're being bombarded with it. But I don't know if that's, you know, I don't know. It's a tough one, man, because, you know, my uncles, I think 3 of my uncles were in Vietnam, and I can remember my uncle talking about, you know, driving the tank and being over there and, you know, crushing people because, you know, you couldn't see out of those old tanks a lot of times, and they would get in front of the tank, and you could, you know, you could feel it, you know, running over people and stuff. And I was like, yeah, God Almighty, you know, and you know, and then you know, I was talking to I used to, you know, do gang presentations all over the United States. Me and my buddy, my gang name, by the way, Kurt, was Shrek.
Okay.
And oh yeah, so everybody called me Shrek, right?
That's appropriate.
That's appropriate, right? I'm not as fat, but we used to get on stage all the time because my good friend Randy Shelton, he's a lieutenant. He's about to retire pretty soon. We used to go around doing these spits and stuff, and I used to cuss, I mean, a lot. I mean, really bad. Mm-hmm. And I'd get up on stage and I'd say, you know, I'm Sergeant Shrek, and this is my ass, Randy Shelton, because, you know, Shrek in the ass, you know, the donkey.
Sure.
And the funniest thing was we used to do this. I know we went down a totally different rabbit hole, but we used to do this ESP thing where he'd go out into the crowd and find out stuff, and he'd come back and tell me about it. And we'd do this like little magic show before we started. It was so funny, but he would get on stage and he would start talking about gang signs. And he worked in a sawmill, and he got like 3 of his fingers cut off, right, working in this sawmill. And he goes, "Forgive me because he said I stutter when I do gang signs." And people didn't understand it until he showed him his fingers. So it was such hilarious, you know. And we would break the ice with gang members a lot of times like that. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you this. We're going to go a quick story. We talked to a guy that was on the they brought him in our facility, our maximum security facility. He was a federal inmate. He was on the terrorist watch group. He came in and we interviewed him. He was a Nazi and Aryan Brotherhood type deal, but he wasn't one of those. He wasn't like like one of those hardcore things. He was more methodical, right? He was very strange but smart person, right?
Okay.
And then we did a bunch of interviews with him, and he was going to assassinate the president, and it was Bush at the time, and I said, well, how do you who was going to kill him? Because he kept going through this whole theory thing. He said, and we had it on videotape, and he goes, "Oh, I was going to kill him." He said, "I'm going to kill the president." And man, it just sent just cold chills. I had chicken bumps all over me, man, when this guy was talking. It was just unbelievable how calm this cat was when he was talking about killing the president. It was crazy.
Dude was crazy.
And he was definitely crazy.
Straight up crazy.
Definitely crazy. But
but I met a lot of smart crazy people,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yeah, ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, we're back. I had to my apologies to everybody for the little edit we had to do. I'm in the over 50 club, so my bladder doesn't work like it used to. I had to hit the bathroom. But Marty, what are you doing now? So
So now I am working with Mil-Spec Plastics. I am the Director of Business Development for actually two products. Cobra Cuffs have been out for a good 9-10 years now. It's a double locking handcuff, rubberized. It's really, really a sleek, nice handcuff. I know handcuffs are not that sexy, but honestly, this is actually a pretty sexy handcuff. Flex cuff, rather.
They're awesome. So, they're absolutely
they
awesome.
are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They are awesome. So, Bob is the owner, Bob Harrington, and we spoke. I was doing some contract work for ALS and did some other contract work for a couple other companies, and then Bob called me up one day and said, "Hey, I want to come down and talk to you." And he drove down and we sit in a restaurant for about 5-6 hours and hammered out something that worked for both of us, and so I became pretty much his right hand man as far as developing business strategy for the Cobra Cuff.
Sure.
And then the new thing is called the VTrack, the vehicle recovery equipment track that he designed, and very, very cool product. We just did SEMA last month, and I got a lot of good feedback and a lot of good connections from SEMA. So basically, it's it's a track. It's a pulls you out of mud, sand, snow, whatever, bridges.
I can't wait.
And
I can't wait to get a pair.
Yeah, we're going to start pressing them out next week.
Mm.
Hopefully, we just got our tools in from New York, and we're going to set them up and start pressing them out. And it's a as you know, there's in doing the armored vehicle stuff. There's only about two different types of tracks out there but none of them are made in the U.S. They're both made in Australia, and so we're making this here in North Carolina, just like all of our other products. We make them all here in North Carolina, all American made, and we're going to do. We've done an 8,000 pounds, so that's vehicle recovery track, which is anything from like a F-350 down. Mm-hmm. Is about 8,000 pounds and down. So any kind of Jeep or overlanding type vehicle, it's perfect for.
Sure.
And then we've done an HD version, which is for the military and police, for their armored vehicles and their heavy equipment type stuff. So we've done that one as well, made out of a totally different secret sauce that Bob came up with because he's a plastic engineer. Mm-hmm. And really, really super cool product. It's not like your basic ones. It's got a storage locker in the middle of it, so you can throw leads and some tools and spikes and stuff down in there. He's made a spike, Kurt, that it's a 10-inch spike made out of plastic that you can drive into asphalt.
Wow.
Now, yeah, and you go, what the hell you want to drive a spike down an asphalt? All we're saying is if it's going to drive down into asphalt, it's going to drive down into that hard, rocky type earth that you need. So I mean, basically
I can't wait to get my hands on one. I can see using, especially with the way he's designed that V-Track, is that you could, if you had an extremely heavy vehicle and you were a little bit concerned, you could always double them up.
Sure.
And if you could double them up, and if you needed to spike that V-Track down, you could use one of those if you needed to spike it down into the ground in front of your drive tire, or in front of your tire you're trying to get traction with, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's they nest good. The nesting part we're going to cut out about. Bob's thinking he can take about a half an inch out of the bottom of the toolbox, and so we can nest them a little bit closer. I think they nest fine now.
Sure.
But the overlanding community is a little bit different community. They like that really,
pretty.
They like it to nest. Yeah, it's pretty but functional, right?
Yeah.
Pretty but functional.
Streamline. I should
Yeah, they like this. Right. Yeah, but you know what? Listen, I tell you, we learned a lot of things from the overlanding community. They are a good community, and they like good products. And again, I go back to the whole sector. I think everything needs to be just a little bit of touch of sexiness to it. As far as everybody likes to look cool, right? And ours looks really cool. I mean, you've seen the design. It's a really cool design. It has replacement treads. We're going to do some other replacement treads we're going to test out pretty soon. Because we got some ideas from the overlanding community that we think we can build upon, and build this thing out. And we're really excited. We had some really good meetings with some really big companies. Wanting to put their name on our product, and so that tells you a lot.
Yeah.
When you got major $400 million companies going, we'd like to put our name on that. So we think we got it. We know we got it right. We didn't think we know we got it right. And along with the Cobra Cuffs, they're all over the world. Obviously, they're a perfect fit in the corrections environment. They're a perfect fit for any civil disorder unit, SWAT team, any kind of warrant squad that's going out and having to handcuff multiple people.
They're the real deal.
They are the real deal. Yeah. They really truly are.
And then when I met, and you couldn't be working for a better guy. When I met Bob down at the OTOA, the Ohio Tactical Officers Association conference, I was like, Bob, this is probably one of the nicest men that I've ever had the pleasure of speaking with. No doubt. Yep. He's got a good family, really close family. He's a good Christian man, and I've enjoyed working with. I've known Bob for a long time. When I was down at the academy training, that's where I met him at years ago, and we've always had a good friendship. And he's just a super nice guy, man, that just wants to make a dominant product for law enforcement. And he's made, for handcuffs, it is the best flex cuff out there. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, 100%. And there's nothing more than 100%. I always tell people, they go, I'll give you 110. I said, there's no such thing. It's 100%. I give you give 100% of somebody yourself. I've done this 150, all this crap. I usually don't even listen to people when they say that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, but Cobra Cuffs. We make cutters. We make the extreme zip tie. Which is double lock and zip tie, and they also work with the V-Track. You can link them together with the extreme tie, and which is cool. So it's really cool that we've taken the Cobra Cuff brand and kind of morphed some of the stuff into the V-Track brand as far as a common. It helps. It's more of an accessory for the V-Track stuff. So we want to put those V-Tracks everywhere we can in the U.S. and all over the world. We're talking to a lot of different places right now. South America is big, Baja country. We have a race team out of California, MLR Race in Baja. They've got 5 Baja vehicles that hopefully we're going to be able to put the V-Track on their stuff here pretty soon. And then Ozzy, both of our one of our brothers, he's helping me out on the military side with the V-Track. They use a lot of them, and obviously we're sending them up to you too because of the armored vehicle training, and
it's a really good product. You know what? It's a good product. It doesn't matter if it's tactical or not. You can put it right in your garage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you need to get out of the snow,
it's not
put it
just
in your Kia and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just a tactical product. It's something that
No.
I mean, if you live in a part of the United States where you need to worry about the snow and the whatever,
the mud,
you've got at least a sense of security with you, knowing that you could pull one of them boards out and drive it underneath that tire and get traction and get out of there. When we were at not just at Fort Bragg, but at a few different locations with armored vehicles off road, we never had a sand ladder that would hold up to an armored truck. We always had to make do with what we had, and sometimes, to be honest with you, we would find some old wooden pallets and take them with us because they were the only thing that we could. They were disposable, of course, because when you run them over with a 30-ton Cayman, they're going to be done. But that's about all we had, and I'm just happy to finally see an awesome heavy-duty sand ladder style, traction board come out that is going to hold up to heavier vehicles. Yeah, I think the original track was a 2x4, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, these are sticks and kitty litter. So you don't have to worry about kitty litter anymore. You can just you can. I can use that on my oil stains. That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, just V-Track is you go to vtrack.com and we're pre-ordering right now, but once we start pressing these things out next week and I think we're going to be really busy. We've been working really, really hard the last 6 months to get the whole marketing concept of everything out. I know you've been working hard, brother, and I knew when you two guys partnered up, I knew magic was going to happen because you're two of the nicest gentlemen I've ever been able to meet in my life. So I appreciate it. Certainly appreciate all your work. You tell Bob we said hi. Let's talk a little bit about your spirit animal. When I was telling some guys I was interested in starting a podcast. I had spoke with a guy named Wes from Washington, and he said, "Are you interested?" And I said, "Well, and then I had spoke with you. I don't know, almost 2 years ago, we talked about a podcast. Yeah. Just didn't know anything about it. Didn't know the dynamics of it. I mean, I've been accused of being a caveman on occasion, and I thought, who am I going to interview? Who's going to want to go on my show and talk to me? And I literally, when the light came on, I thought to myself, all I got to do is call my friends. I mean, I have enough guys like you who, have lived very, very dynamic and interesting lives. That's literally all I'm going to do. From who knows how, maybe eventually I'll run out of friends, but I've got so many cool friends like you. I mean, I could always buy some friends, I guess, but I'm just gonna interview buddies and friends and former coworkers and contractors and people that I've had contact with over the last 30 years of my life who have a story to tell, So I totally agree. Yeah, back to the spirit animal thing. So here's my question, Marty. What is your spirit animal? If you could be any animal on the planet, what is it? You ever thought about that?
Man, that's a tough one, man. You know how I care for my dog so much.
I know you do.
Listen, I've had a hard time with those things. I don't know, man. I think I was really hooked on that Game of Thrones stuff. I don't know if I wouldn't be a flying dragon. I don't know. Burn some dudes up. You know what I'm saying? All these dudes that
a flying dragon.
I think that's it, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, listen, those were warriors back in the day, the Vikings and all that. Obviously I'm not going to go through the Game of Thrones thing, but, think about if we lived back in those days, man. Mm-hmm. We would survive, right? We'd be killing some mugs.
I'd like to think so. but I mean, eventually you run into a bigger, badder dragon.
Bigger warrior. Yeah, no, that's true too. Yeah, that's true. I don't know, man. I think I'm right. I think a flying dragon is, I look at my tattoo with my family crest on it, and I think about my dog. I got my dogs in there too, so I would definitely be. I'd probably be an Australian Shepherd or a flying dragon. That's crazy, but that's probably who I would be. So, but flying dragon.
That's interesting. I mean, you never know when you ask somebody that question what kind of response you're going to get.
Well, listen. I'll tell you what. Listen. As well as I do, our history and stuff, and people. There's some evil people out there, you know that. And I wouldn't mind burning their ass just a little bit with my little fly over and go, yeah, that's that son of a gun. Just blow them up right quick.
Yeah, I got a pepper gun that'll do that.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So, but you know what? We've met some interesting people over our lifespan with in law enforcement and what we do, and 99% of them's good people. It's that 1% of anything
you bet
that you just want to get rid of, not take out, but just don't even talk to them. It's just it goes back to that whole lying thing. Once you lie to me, you're done. You're dead to me.
It's all done. That's right.
Yeah, I don't care if you're living or I don't care if you're breathing or not at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
it's all about
you're not a part of my world anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's all about reputation and character, and
it is
having an ethos to follow, and
totally agree.
Yeah, and I mean, people that knew me when I was 16, 17 years old know that I was a jackass. I mean, not all the time, but you know, I mean, we've all probably at some point in time in our life been a jackass, and
I've been called a dictator.
Yeah, I've been called a dick.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though, you know what? I'd rather been known as somebody that led than didn't have a voice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So,
and I think a lot of times that still gets in the way. You know as well as I do. You're Italian. My wife's Italian, and now when it comes to leading and dictating all. That shit goes away when I'm talking to my wife, because the real Italian comes out.
So what you're saying is that you wear the pants in the family, but they're the ones she picks and the color she wants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because she's actually driving in right now, so I better be quiet. But hey, listen, our wives are warriors, brother.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you, they put up with it. So
to put up with us and with what we've done in our careers and lives and the families, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, taking the chances that you and I alone have taken, and our wives go ahead, I got your back. That's kind of crazy.
It's pretty awesome, isn't it? It's pretty awesome.
It is awesome, man. Yeah, and I'm blessed. I am blessed from. Yeah, my parents, and we've all got good families. That's why I was thinking when you were talking about your friends and stuff and interviewing and stuff. You got to get Medina on here too.
We got to get Jose Medina on here.
You got to get Medina on here.
Yeah,
and he's got to tell that story about him being a drill instructor at the academy, because that is I pissed in my. You remember that we were all together, right? He was telling that story.
Yeah,
I couldn't even breathe, man. I couldn't breathe. That story was so good. God, he's so funny.
Man, I tell you, he's one of the names on my list. I've got some dynamic people, some incredible people that I want to be able to interview eventually sometime. But so Marty, I always ask everybody that comes on this, and we just started the podcast. Couple episodes ago, but I always ask the same three questions towards the end. Zombie apocalypse, end of the world, your go to pistol and rifle and vehicle. That's I ask everybody the same three questions. What's your go-to pistol?
I guess I'd say 1911 is what I would use.
You're an OG.
Personally.
Yeah.
I am.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It would be, yeah. It'd be, listen, I think I'm gonna buy one of those Canic things too. Have you seen those guns lately? I think I'm gonna buy a Canic.
I haven't
C-A-N-I-K.
No.
My buddy of mine's Ross Bothas. He's a salesperson for those guys, but that's a nice pistol, man. But I would carry a 1911 and just be old school with it, man. You know.
Well,
I'd probably have
that's what you carried and trained on for years, and you know, that's what you're comfortable with. So.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd probably use, you know, everybody's gonna say AR or some type of something. I think I would use a Benelli shotgun with the tactical pistol grip on it. Man.
Oh,
we used to shoot. Oh man, we used to shoot those down in Panama all the time. It was one of my favorite shotguns, man. Just blow it up.
Oh, the Benelli was and still is world class. Yeah, we had a tactical team. We had one guy had Benelli, and then me and another guy, we carried Berettas, the auto-loaded Berettas for a while. They were great shotguns.
Just a great shotgun, yeah. Nothing fancy. I'm not fancy.
No.
Just straight up. And then, no. Dude, I wear shorts and T-shirts all the time.
I'd go to battle in sweatpants if I could. You know?
Yeah. Listen, I'll tell you what. Yeah, you know, that's the funny thing when you go do all the training stuff that you and I've done. You got to dress up all tactical and you know wear your pants and your collared shirt. I'm like, man, God, why couldn't I just come out here in shorts and T-shirt and some tennis shoes?
Well,
but we'll go into my tennis shoe collection later. But no,
that's what I've heard.
But yeah, I got a lot of shoes. But anyway, man, my vehicle, and I wanted one since the day they came out. I still want an H2. I haven't bought one, never have. You know, I've always wanted one. But I'm telling you, man, it's great. That thing got put away too soon because of the economy and stuff. You know, the gas guzzling. That was when they shut that thing down.
Yeah.
But I still to this day freaking love that thing.
Well,
you know,
they're you know they don't make them anymore, but they're still out there.
No.
You can find them.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I run that.
Wore out.
I run a baby Hummer. You know, the little baby
H3.
H3.
Yeah. H3.
And I use that, you know, to haul my equipment around the country, and I get pretty good gas mileage. Been very dependable. But yeah, the H2 is a good choice if. You know.
I'd like to have that. Have you seen those? That Hennessy Raptor with the 6-wheel.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
I mean, if you got to compensate for something, which I would do that. I mean, I would have that sucker, that 6-wheel Mercedes or that Hennessy thing. But yeah, H2 would be. Yeah,
that'd be your choice. That'd be your go-to then. Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
that's a good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, not bad.
Well, Marty, hey, listen, I want to thank you not only for being a friend, but for taking an hour out of your life to speak with me.
Anytime, brother.
So we'll talk to you soon. I love you, and you be safe.
Love you too.
Okay.
All right, man.
All right.
See you.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Up Armored Podcast. Until next time, stay safe, keep moving forward, and Raptor on.